What up, everyone? It's your boy Satemangala, the Reverend of the Revolution. Welcome you to another edition of your Daily Revolution, the podcast that helps you to wake up, turn your brain on, and to prosper every single day in every part of your life. Today's topic, you cannot outrun karma. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I took my wife's car down to the dealership and I asked them to take a look at her shocks. Her ride's been rough, really rough. And I can't figure it out, we bought it, it's only been a year. The dealership we bought it from said the shocks were great. We took it to another dealership, they said the shocks were bad. Took it back to the dealership we bought it from and they said, no, the shocks are fine. And here we are a year later, ride is rougher than ever. So we went back to the second dealership near our home and they said, listen, these shocks are gone. They were gone 9 months ago when you brought it into us, shortly after you bought it. That's just crazy. How could my wife's car, how could someone deliberately lie to me and tell me your shocks are good when they really weren't? Were these salesmen just trying to avoid something? Were they trying to just not be on the hook? So I got two different dealerships, both GMC Cadillac. The dealership I bought it from says, no, your shocks are good, but it rides rough. The dealership that near my house, they said, your shocks are bad. So finally I took it back to the dealership near my house and they said, listen, Satema, I'm not trying to throw the other dealership under the bus, but they sold you a car and they didn't want to be on the hook for it. Your shocks have been bad since you bought it. Explains the rough ride. Kind of crazy. As a businessman, as a salesman, one bad deal, is it really worth it? Is it really worth, having, let's say these guys were on the hook for, say, $1,300, $1,500 for the rear shocks of my wife's SUV. Is it really worth it? And I want you to know it's never worth it. Whether it's one transaction, whether it's five, and here's why. It's completely out of integrity. And when you are out of integrity, your life doesn't work. Your business doesn't work. The fact that the dealership close to my home says, Satema, I can't throw them under the bus. I just want you to know your shocks have been bad since you bought it to us 9 months ago. So there's really a few lessons here that I'm going to share with you regarding this whole issue around, say, $1,500 for rear shocks and the principle of the dealership that sold us the car. I'm not going to mention the name of the GMC Cadillac dealership in Costa Mesa on Harbor Boulevard. I'm not going to mention their name, but hey, do you want to talk about dishonesty, being out of integrity to save themselves, what, $1,500? $1,500. And now they've just lost a customer in me because, well, number one, I can't trust them. Number two, a bunch of liars. But that's their business. And here's how this is going to play out. So here's rule number one. You can't outrun karma. Whatever you continue to put out will come back to you. This is a natural law. This is a natural principle, universal principle. Whatever you put out will come back. See, look at this dealership. Right? I know if they did that to me, I can guarantee you they have done it to other people. The fact that they could look at me in the eye and say, dude, your shocks are just fine. And I even questioned them once. I said, are you sure? Because the dealership down south where I live says that the shocks are gone. They're like, nope, they're good. Like with a straight poker face. So karma. See, and that's one thing for the dealership, but take a look at your life, my brothers and sisters. Take a look at your life. What are you currently putting out? And whatever you're putting out, you cannot run it. You cannot outrun the karma you are putting out. In Christian terms, this is called the law of the harvest. Whatsoever you sow, you will reap. So if you are sowing dishonesty, if you are sowing lies just for the sake of $1,500, and you got to figure out, if these guys did me right, well, I'd be referring them to people. I'd go back and trade it in and get another car from them. But no. Cannot run your karma. So take a look inside of your life. Physically, what you're doing, the things that you put into your body, The habits that you have currently right now, whether it's addicted to sugar, addicted to substances that don't bring you what you want, lack of physical exercise, allowing your body to drag you down, you cannot run the karma. So what do? Start putting out powerful actions, exercise, health, fitness, movement. In terms of spirituality, do you seek a higher purpose? Do you serve other people? Do you walk around with your brain turned on and your eyes open, looking for ways to create value for other people? Or do you simply walk around trying to get what you want? In your relationships, are you a man or woman of your word? Can people count on you? Can you make a difference for your spouse, for your children? And a really cool example here, a well-known, world-renowned, best-selling author travels the world. I asked him to write a foreword on my book coming out. And he personally called me. And he explained to me why he couldn't do it, because he's a publicly traded company. And I had mentioned some very spiritual things and meaningful things to me. And he said, I just wanted to let you know. But, he called me. He didn't text me. He didn't email. He called me. Here's a man who travels the world, a publicly traded, very wealthy, 8-figure company. Made my day. Like, I can count on this man. Total integrity. And then you look at business, karma. Are you putting out real value? I remember as a manager when I was knocking doors for Vivint, and I was recruiting, and I had this referral, and I went to the house, I put the deal in, and then I saw the deal get switched to one of my reps. And then I switched it back to my name, and then he switched them, and then I called him up and said, hey, what's up? And he says, and it was a first-year rep. He says, I actually knocked on these guys' door, and they said they would buy, and then I saw that you got the sale, and then I explained to him, well, I actually got the referral, and I was kind of like, man, I got the sale. So I called my regional, like my upper, and my regional was like, just give your sales rep the sale, just give it to him. Even though you did the work, just give it to him. I'm like, why? And he says, that's your rep. Your number one customer is your guy. So I gave him the deal, and this man, to this day, messages me like it was a big difference for him, right? One sale for him back then was a big deal. And so as a businessman, as an employee, or as an employer, as a business owner, are you putting good things out to your people? Karma. It's going to come back to bite. So that's the first thing. You can't outrun the karma, which means if you're putting great work, admirable, honorable, integrity, like if you're putting that out, it's going to come back to you. The dealership in Costa Mesa off of Harbor Boulevard, the GMC, listen, man, like the fact that y'all did me wrong like that, it's your business. But I know what? I'll never play with you guys again, ever. So what's the lesson here for all you listeners? Listen, if someone does you wrong, if someone does you in a way that's out of integrity for the sake of money, like I'm good now. I just use it as a lesson. No complaining on my part. I'm just like, cool, I will never play with you again. And now my business goes to someone else. And then it reminds me to never, ever, ever be those people or that person who takes advantage of someone, who looks at someone and deliberately lies to them. You can't do that. It doesn't work. If you want a life that works, a life that gives you what you want, a life that brings you peace and harmony, allows you to sleep at night, if you're in sales, you got to sell something that you truly believe in. You got to make sure the back end fulfills. You got to make sure you create maximum value and to over-deliver. That's what this is about. So you can't outrun karma. And I'm going to continue this conversation with a couple other lessons because this is a big deal. The fact that this dealership, like these salespeople, just looked at me in the eye and lied to me. A lot of great lessons from it, and I'm grateful. So where are you at, brothers and sisters, in your life? What can you learn from this for you? It's your boy, Satem Mangala, reminding you, if you're going to create a life of real radical results, a life that you love, it's going to require you to get into a relentless pursuit with a ruthless commitment to pay the piper every single day so that you can get to the top of your mountains where your prize, promised lands, and possibilities are just waiting for you. The revolution has begun. For more info on joining the revolution and living your greatest life of prosperity today, go to www.yourdailyrevolution.com and join us in waking up, turning your brain on, and prospering today.